How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another match preview. Premier League football is back, people. And listen, I'm happy it's back. I can't lie to you. But it's been a positive international break for me and the countries I support. Turkey, back-to-back wins, 6-1, 4-1, off the back of that humiliating 6-0 against Spain, the previous international break. We had to bounce back, and bounce back we've done, essentially tying up that second place finish, which was the expectation considering we've got European champions and favourites for the World Cup, Spain, in our group. They haven't even conceded a goal yet. And Ireland kept their threadbare hopes alive. Listen, we're only a point behind Hungary off the top of my head after the win against Armenia. But yeah, our next two fixtures, difficult to say the least. So the chances of Ireland being there, slim. The chances of Turkey being there is qualifiers next. So, until I know who we're getting in qualifiers, it's hard to really, consider ourselves as participants next summer. We have to, me, the big six, we're going to be there in some way, shape, or form. We're going to cover it in some way, shape, or form. Turkey have to be there. Nigeria made it with Eritrea dropping out. And I like that. I want that. As much as Toves will probably come back off his trip and start, rubbing it in terms of Nigeria have qualified. That's what I like. That's what I want to see. I've got a lot of Nigerian friends. The representation there after going to the Euros last year with Turkey and seeing the vibes, the atmosphere, win or lose or draw, it was special. So when I go to this World Cup over in either the US, Mexico, or Canada, I'm looking for vibes more than anything. So it's good Nigeria there. Jamaica should be making it too, as well as a whole host of other nations. Certain nations are out. Yeah, but it is what it is. Still games to play for the nations I support, and yeah, and I mean England. The groups are always a dog walk for England. So really, there's no concern ever with England in the qualifying groups. Aside from that, oh, was it Steve McLaren? I forgot who failed to qualify at one time, but yeah, that was crazy. But sorry, people, I've been rambling on for 2 minutes. International football, and I just said I'm happy Premier League football is back. So people are probably wondering why the hell isn't he talking about it? Why? Because we haven't hit 1,000 likes yet. Hit the like button, people. Make sure you are subscribed as well. Like the vid, hype the vid. Make sure you are subscribed. And listen, love for the love. The Loose Cannons podcast launched a few days ago. We're coming back with a second episode Sunday, midday-ish, after the Arsenal game on Saturday. But before the Liverpool game, we want to cover the game week in full moving forward. But, due to schedule clashes, we have to get this one done before the Liverpool game that we all expect them to win against Man United. So, yeah, look out for that. But the love, listen, 100 and something thousand views, 10,000 likes, 3,000 comments. Really appreciated, people. Hopefully, we can continue giving you what you want from the podcast. And as always, let us know, let me know in the comment section below. Feedback is always important. It has been for the big six, and it will be for any ventures, projects, podcasts I have moving forward. So keep it up, people. Criticism, praise, all of that is welcome in the comment section. Just don't be nasty about it. We're going to be having fourth guests. I should have said, be nice. Be nice. The pod we was on before, Lee Judges was a big part of it. Moving forward, it's not going to be the same without him, that's for sure. But let's leave that in the past now. Let's look forward, and whoever does come on to represent Arsenal or represent an opposition, because I've seen some of the comments and they align with my thoughts about that fourth guest. Be nice. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, just move on. Make sure you hit the like button though. But yeah, listen, another 2 minutes wasted. Well, I say wasted. I think it's showing love back to the community and making sure moving forward that we're all in line, we're all headed in the same direction is important. But listen, we're here for Fulham, and I guess I'm rambling on about other things because the Fulham game, I haven't got much to say. I looked at Arteta's press conference. I've taken a few notes out. It started with the defensive record so far this season: 3 goals conceded in 10 games. I didn't know that was a record for Arsenal. Now, I didn't double check this, but that's what the journalist said. Best in Europe at this moment in time. 3 goals conceded across 10 games in all competitions. That includes Port Vale and the 2 Champions League games, as well as the 7 Premier League fixtures where we've conceded all 3 of the goals. Apparently, it's the best ever for Arsenal. And when you consider, I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, Arsenal had defensive units plural. Whether it was the early to late 90s defense or whether it was the early 2000s defense, they had special players, very great big players in terms of Arsenal's history and heritage. So to hear, this is a record so far. Listen, records are just that, records. We want trophies, but it was worth mentioning. And listen, long may that continue. I've always said I don't care how we win the league, whether it's through a rock solid defense and structure, or whether it's through a free flowing attack and goals galore. A trophy is a trophy, and that's what we're craving for. So I thought that's worth noting. I see a lot of hype about his comments on Gyökeres. Now, I didn't look too much into it. I watched the Arteta press conference. I went on Twitter or X, as you do, and I saw that was the main clip people were talking about. Now, the quote was on Gyökeres, on a Gyökeres conversation before the season. Arteta said, "I told him the 9 that I want is a 9 that when he doesn't score for 6 to 8 games, he can handle that. If not, you have to go somewhere else." Now, the wording is harsh, but I've got to give Arteta credit with his man management skills. I think it's proven now that as a man manager, he is elite. As a man manager, he is elite. Reason I say that because he's had to overcome a lot in the 5, 6 years, whether that is a young player in a Guendouzi stepping out of line and not wanting to apologize, or whether that is the best player on the books in a Mesut Ozil or Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang potentially not being the right fit at the right time for the club, for him, for the squad. He's had to overcome these things. I'll throw Saliba in there, you know, the two loans that caused a lot of talk, you know. You could see Saliba wasn't too happy with it. There was an Instagram comment or two, I think him, Guendouzi, and another player. But lo and behold, we're coming off the back of, Saliba signing a new contract, a long-term contract at this club, which ensures that for his prime years as a centre back, at the very least, we are in control, or more in control than we would have been if the situation was still the same and he had 2 years to go, or just under 2 years to go. So whether it's a Guendouzi or Aubameyang, an Ozil, a Saliba, whoever it may be, I think his man management in all situations so far, you could say 9 out of 10. There's some you'd probably look at and say, well, this didn't quite make sense. I think Pepe and his complete omission from even the thought process, on backing up Saka on that right hand side in Arteta's early years was a bit confusing. It's not one we dwell on, but there has been question marks here or there. But overall, players have committed, and it's not the first time. Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Saliba, they all committed years back, and they've all recommitted now. Aside from Saka, who we all expect to commit, so that's all proof that Arteta's man management skills, in my opinion, is up there for sure. You can even throw in that going toe to toe for 2 years for the Premier League title and not quite getting there, and still being able to maneuver that squad and team back to this season where it looks like we'll go in again. Because last season it was a drop off. The transfer window plays a part in that. After back to back, you know, tight finishes at the end, whether we were leading all the way or whether we were trying to chase all the way, we didn't get what we wanted. That can have a massive mental effect. Personally, and that can transcend externally. And I think at times last season, whether it was a lack of ideas, the lack of resources from the transfer window, or a lack of energy, considering for those 2 seasons a lot of these players put in everything, with little rotation, which we're still kind of feeling the after effects of now. um, you could say that man management skill in itself shows a little something. Now, there's other areas of management. It's not just man management that matters. Hence, why we haven't won a league or a Champions League or a major yet. You have to tie that in tactically. You have to tie that in with a balance, attack, defense, transition, etc. But on this subject with the Gyökeres quote, I say all that to say Gyökeres seems like the type of character, man, human that wants to be spoken to like this in terms of with Havertz, for example. I think Havertz comes across as the type of man character that needs more of an arm around his shoulder, a confidence boost, we believe in you, we trust you type of management, then Gyökeres. I don't think Gyökeres is like that. And I say that because a lot of his interviews is goals, goals, goals. Is quite raw, is quite concise. He's not really about the talking, he's about action. So with a player character like that, maybe Arteta feels a bit more of a blunt, because I don't think that's rude. It's more of a blunt approach because he caveated it with Gyökeres is doing the things that I need him to do when he's not scoring. So I don't know why X has ran away with it, but X ran away with a lot. So yeah, credit to Arteta on his man management skills, and off the back of that, I hope Gyökeres bags a brace. He's at that stage now where 3-7 doesn't look great. If you stretch that out across Sweden and Champions League games and so on, it looks even worse, you could say. But we Arsenal fans know that Newcastle, Bilbao, and a bit West Ham was probably his better performances overall across his time on the pitch. I can't remember if he played 90 in all of them, but yeah, I didn't take too much into that. And we love a good Kroenke quote. He was asked about the Kroenkes, and he said, "We have to share the same vision and especially the same ambition, which is very clear. We're here to win major trophies. Every sign, every conversation, that is the main topic." That's exactly what I like to hear. I'm not mentioning it to argue it, because I feel like the transfer window is proof of these words. You know, second 3 years in a row, and we go and do what we've done in the transfer window, pretty much completing, the puzzle. I know we could all do with another, left winger, but at the end of the day, no team is ever complete. You're always going in with an and an ah, and that ties in with the ambition. That ties in with Arteta saying, they're in line. So cool. He did go on to say, they're well experienced. They've won a lot. I think, I didn't take those quotes out word for word, but he was, yeah, he could have stopped where I stopped, really, but he didn't. Injury news: Odegaard out for weeks, so November international break, looks like the time he will return. And by that I mean, once that's done. Zubamendi, he's fine. It was just load management, seeing him in training on the sideline. Similar with Ben White, he said Ben White's cool. So that's good news. Hincapié is back. That's good news. I mean, he's gone under the radar as well, Hincapié. I see a few comments about him from, I assume, people that have watched a lot more of him than I have, or a lot of us have, and laughing that we don't know what we've got on our hands. That sounds a bit like the Timber situation. Timber out injured for a year, now seeing what he is for the past year and a bit. We could have done with him that 23-24 season. We probably would have won the league. If we got the Timber we have had in the past year and a bit in that 23-24 season, we probably would have. That's not to say the defense cost us, or it wasn't the attack that needed a bit more. That's just to say, when you have a player of that ilk, that quality, you have a better chance of winning games. Maybe the Aston Villa game, he would have made a difference, but yeah. The man up front should have made that difference. But let's not look back too much. Madueke, Havertz. Listen, Madueke getting closer. Havertz still has a lot to do in his rehab. Arteta said we have to wait and see. So November international break. Fingers crossed. No more knocks. No more players go down from now until then, because we've had a fair few already. And as much as we've got depth there, it's already been stretched a little. And players that have had long-term injuries at this club have been playing a lot of minutes recently. So that rotation, that's ideal. I don't think we've had the full ability to take advantage of it yet with the amount of injuries we've had. But that's life. I'm not here moaning about it or saying it's going to cost us, or if we don't win it, it is the reason. I still think we will. Looking at Fulham a bit. And oh yeah, for the betmate people, they'll be back next week. They're fixing things behind the scenes, loose ends, whatever they need to do, improvements. I'm not too sure exactly what it is, but they'll be back. We'll be back next week for the free pot and draw. But yeah, let's get into Fulham form. They've lost 3 of the last 5. They've won 2. And they haven't lost at home this season across all competitions. They've drawn to Man United though and won the rest. Their losses coming away from home. Chelsea lost their back-to-back losses. Last one, Bournemouth, both 3-1. We've won 3 of the last 5, drawn 1, lost 1, drawn to City, lost to Liverpool, we all know. So that's in our favour, forms in our favour. Looking at head-to-heads, this is another, not in a it's along the lines of the Newcastle West Ham. The Newcastle game, it was when we looked at our form against them in recent times at that ground, and we were all saying we have to change that around. West Ham, we had lost twice to them in the last couple of seasons at the Emirates. Look at that, we have to change it around. Fulham, similar. You know, last time we beat them in the league was 2022-23 season, 3-0 at Craven Cottage. Since then, they beat us the 23-24 season 2-1. One of the results that I look back on and say cost us, even regardless of the run after the new year. And last year it was 1-1. Yeah, 1-1 last year. So yeah, we haven't had the best of results there over the last 2 years. And when when you see how close we came in 23-24, you could look at that game as one of them, the West Ham game straight after it. So yeah, again, I'm saying all this to say it's another one we have to just turn it around. We have to make sense of it, and we just have to get the 3 points. Fulham, injuries galore. I don't know if Jimenez is back, Muniz is already out, so their striker issue is a big problem for them. I know Lukic, their DM, is out. I believe he's still out. There's a chance Jimenez makes it. Tete's out. Robinson, he's out, quality player. So Fulham are not in the greatest of places right now. Back-to-back losses coming into this game, albeit an international break in between. Injuries all over the gaff. They sit 14th in the league. 8 points. They've scored 8 goals, conceded 11. On the flip side, we're first, 16 points, scored 14, conceded 3. So we are the favourites. We should get 3 points, and we should apply the needed, necessary pressure onto Liverpool the next day by making it 4 points. And that's what a win will do, and make it 4 points, the gap between us and Liverpool, before they host Man United. And like I said earlier, the expectation is they beat Man United, but, and I hope that's a big but, because I'll be on the mob. Make sure you're there too. Saeed's down from Manchester. Grizz will be representing Liverpool. I'll be there with Matisse. And yeah, like I hope Chelsea got the W last time out, I'm hoping United get the W this time out. Strange, weird, yes, but you know what it is, people. We've got to win a league. Yeah, so that's the notes I prepared. If you've enjoyed, hit the like button. If you haven't enjoyed, hit the like button. Hype the vid too. Make sure you're subscribed. Lineup wise, Raya, Saliba, Gabriel. I'm gonna go Saliba, Gabriel because alongside Raya, they're two players that I don't think need the most rotation. So Saliba, Gabriel. This is where rotation comes in for me. I'd probably start Mosquera right back. Is that weird? Reason being because he stepped in for us at centre back, and he done a very good job in my opinion, especially for his first few games in an Arsenal shirt at a competitive level. But he can also play right back. I look at Timber, back-to-back games for Netherlands. I look at Ben White and the issues he's been having. I just think Mosquera as our right back and Lewis Skelly coming in as left back, where Calafiori, when I mentioned earlier that we have players that, have been prone to an injury or have had a big injury that are playing hella minutes recently, Timber and Calafiori are the two I'm really looking at. It's so unfortunate the inconsistencies with Ben White's return, but Timber has held it down. But let's not overlook that. So I'd take out Timber, I'd put in Mosquera, and I'd put in Lewis Skelly, because then Mosquera, Saliba, Gabriel can become the back three, and Lewis Skelly can roam and do what he needs to do, as he has done in an Arsenal shirt. And he's coming off a fresh 90 minutes for England too. A much needed 90 minutes, a welcome 90 minutes. So, he should be sharp, he should be fit. So I'd start Lewis Skelly left back, Mosquera right back. I'd go with the strongest midfield we can play. Zubimendi, Rice, and Eberici Eze. Odegaard's out, obviously. I like the fact that he played Odegaard and Eze together against West Ham, and it's unfortunate that now Odegaard's out. We won't get to see that for a little while. Marino's coming off the back of 2 goals again for Spain. Box crashing, false nine. He's across the 90 minutes. He's just, I don't even know what to call him. He's just roaming into. It's an art. It's an art. He's a good player, Marino. I ain't having people say he ain't a good player, but yeah, we need to see more of it from midfield for Arsenal. And I think part of that is Pedri for Spain is so important. So I'm looking at Eze, I'm looking at Odegaard, when they're playing with Marino, how do you, make up for his deficiencies and enhance his strengths? Because that's what Zubi and Pedri seem to do for Spain. So I'd start Zubi, Rice, Eze. That'll be my three. Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and I'd put Gyökeres up top. That would be my starting lineup. So the main changes would be Miles Lewis Skelly for Calafiori, Mosquera for Timber. I've explained my reasons why. Let me know if you agree. Is it too much? Might be. We're away, But it's a London derby, not much to travel. We're coming off the back of an international break where a lot of our players had, solid output. Saka got a goal, nice goal like that. Eze got a nice goal. Marino got 2 goals. Gyökeres stink up, but you know, the guy worth double up the road had an even bigger stinker. So that's agenda's got to run, people. Gyökeres, please bag a goal, 2 goals. We need something, and we need everything else with it. What we've been seeing against Newcastle, Bilbao, we need all of that with the ball in the back of the net. So Gyökeres, I'm gonna bank on you again, like I did against West Ham, wrongly, and say Gyökeres gets at least a goal, ideally double. We win the game. We put pressure on Liverpool, who then go on to win against Man United, and it's back to square one come Monday. Then it gets interesting because Liverpool got Brentford and Man City away in the next 3 games, and we've got a run where we look at and say this is a chance to build a run. So hopefully that run we manage to build it, and hopefully those tricky fixtures from Liverpool trip them up some more. That's why we're here. That's why we're first. They've been tripping up. International break, has it blessed them, or is it more of the same old? We're going to find out Sunday on the Mob, the Big Six. Make sure you're there. Back Your Chat is out now. London is red. Go watch that if you haven't already. Like that. Like the Mob. Like this. Loose Cannons. Make sure you're there as well. Sunday, next one out. After that, after every single Arsenal game, people. So one more time, love for the love, the support, the messages, everything. Appreciate it so much. And yeah, like I said, feedback, comment section. That's why it's there. Like, hype, subscribe. Love for the love, people. I'm out. Peace.